name is Paul Januszewski. I'm the fire chief for the town of North Haven. I want to thank the media for being here today, and most importantly, the residents and supporters of North Haven. This is another great day for the fire department. We've worked several years to bring this opportunity to the community for awareness, to fire prevention programs and fire training. So you're standing here at the North Haven Training Center for the North Haven Fire Department. This has been several years in the making to try to get us to the point that we are right now. It didn't go very fast because of a lot of donors and so forth along the way that provided some opportunities for funding over the course of the last several years. So from Quinnipiac University, which helped to fund the tower to my right, to the garage behind us, which was funded through a state grant with a town match, and everything that you see behind you was all donated materials. I do want to give a special shout out to Pete Criscolo, who was a former fire commissioner who helped to really put all these donors together in the same room so we can work towards a common goal. Pictured over here hanging off the tower are several of the individuals and companies that helped to kind of bring this together. I'll start with the Anastasio Group. They helped with the fill and the steel for this site. A&G Contracting, which helped with the skid steer and the heavy equipment and machinery needed to start to bring this site together. Celentano Excavating, which had a lot to do with stone and bringing in the fill material. Chavez Welding, which is a North Haven firefighter who has a welding business who donated a lot of materials and time to be able to put together the steel shipping containers behind us, which eventually became what's going to be our training for our firefighters. Concrete Creations, which was Ralph Morrow, and he helped donate the concrete. Suzio Concrete Company as well with additional concrete to this site. Monaco Enterprises, which provided the crane and some tow trucks to be able to lift these large shipping containers behind us to the positioning that they are now and to the second floor that they are right now. ProClean, which continues to help us to this day. ProClean, a great restoration business here in North Haven, providing us with the cabinetry and some of the other equipment behind us, and they're going to continue to support us moving forward. It'll be a great partnership that we look forward to. Again, I mentioned Quinnipiac University, Rural Gas, which has provided some of the propane for today's demonstrations. Sims Metal Management, which provided all the shipping containers behind us, again, at no cost, no charge at all to the town North Haven or the North Haven Fire Department. The Teamsters Local 443 for working with Tilcon, which is also listed, again, on bringing a lot of the stone and the fill into this site. So we're here today to demonstrate two different types of fires, the first being kitchen fire safety. A large number of fires that we see, not only in Connecticut, but throughout the nation, are the result of kitchen fires, unattended cooking, and not cooking or knowing how to put a fire out the correct way. And then the second fire I will show you because of the season is going to be the gas grill safety fire. And so we hope that you'll gather something out of this today. Again, we want to thank all of our sponsors, all of you for being here today. The weather is hot, but we're going to try to move through this rather quickly. I appreciate you all being here. And if it weren't for the team on my left and my right, Deputy Chief Bisson and Deputy Chief Naples, we would not be where we are today. So thank you for all being here, and we'll start the assignments and the evolutions now, please.
My name's Deputy Chief Scott Bisson. I'm Deputy Chief Operations with the North Haven Fire Department. I'll be lighting the fires today and kind of explaining what's going on as we go through this. We're going to do 3 fires today. The first is to demonstrate a pot on fire and how using the wrong extinguisher can actually make the fire get worse. The second fire we're going to do is an actual simulated kitchen fire that somebody would have on a Sunday morning making bacon and eggs or something like that, and what can happen if you don't take certain safety precautions. The third fire with the season is going to be grill fire safety and demonstrate what can happen when a grill is not maintained, if it's not cleaned, if there's a crack or a break in the hose, and what it can do to the rest of the house. So for the first fire, I'm going to set it on the ground in that pan there. We just have some fuel inside the pan. I will light it on fire. We're not going to take the time to wait for things to get started like they were unattended cooking, but realize anybody who's cooked before, who hasn't had a smoke detector go off in their house from cooking before, you're all lying, every one of you. So we've seen it before, whether it's microwave popcorn, food on the stove, toast in the toaster. It happens, and it doesn't take very long for that to happen. Within less than 24 hours ago, we had a kitchen fire in North Haven that was food on the stove. It smoked up an apartment. Somebody ended up going to the hospital, and we evacuated a large senior housing building while we were able to ventilate the smoke out of the building. In the last 3 months, we've probably had 3 other significant kitchen fires that caused serious damage inside the homes in town. So this is why we're going through this right now. I know fireworks and 4th of July was last weekend, but we want to make sure that we get this message out there and try to prevent an incident from occurring. Talk about fire extinguishers real quick. North Haven Fire Department will offer training for fire extinguisher uses, especially to different communities. It's a very simple thing to do. The mnemonic is called PASS, P, pull, A, aim, squeeze the handle, sweep side to side. We don't get too close to a fire while we're doing it. We don't plunge the extinguisher directly into the fire when we're doing it, because it can cause it to get worse. To pick the right extinguisher for the right fire, there's different ways to do it. Everybody may have heard of class A, B, C, D fires, A being ordinary combustibles, B being gases and liquids, C be energized electrical equipment, D is actually combustible metals. There's also pictograms that they can do. So this is a typical 2.5 water gallon can carried on just about every fire engine that's out there right now. We call it the can. It will go in with a firefighter before they pull a hose line into the building. It carries 2.5 gallons of water pressurized with air in it. If you were to look at the pictograms on the side here, it would say this is for Class A combustibles only. Wood, paper, cardboard, things like that. It specifically says it's not for flammable liquids. So we're going to show you what happens if you use the wrong extinguisher. So just simulating like a small pot in the stove that catches on fire. Most fires start very small that way. That could be olive oil in a pan. It could be other cooking oil on there. You're going to do some chicken cutlets or something like that. You got to get it up to temperature. You're going to put the, splash a little water to see if it sizzles, and we know we're up to the temperature. It does not take long for it to go to too high of a temperature, closer to its ignition temperature. So you don't even have to have an open flame or anything near it. It can suddenly catch on fire. So if you're in the living room talking on the phone and all of a sudden your smoke detector goes off, you go into the kitchen. The 2 common things that people try to do is they try to grab the pan. They're either going to try to throw it in their sink where it splashes into water and it gets bigger, or their clothes catch on fire from something like that. The right thing to do after you make sure that everybody's safe, if you have a lid nearby, covering it just with a lid, excluding the oxygen, will normally put the fire out. But make sure if you have small children, pets, get out of the house right away. Call 911 from your cell phone. Get help on the way. If you do have an extinguisher in your kitchen and it's the right one, the current ones are type K extinguishers. They're designed for grease fires, but they could also be carbon dioxide or a dry chemical. That will be successful. What I would do is I'll get my extinguisher. Again, I know this is the wrong extinguisher for this. Pull the pin out, aim the nozzle, I squeeze. That's what happens when you spray water into a flammable liquid. It makes the fire spread. The water instantly turns into steam, spreading it out, and if you do it incorrectly, it's going to make all that grease that was contained in the pot spray all over the place and extend in there. So that's why, like, some people will take a can of water or a glass of water, try to pour it in a pot on the stove, and the fire just gets bigger that way. All right? The next fire that we're going to do is I'm going to actually set it up on the stove. If you give me just 1 second, it's too hot to leave the fuels in there safely. So I'm going to go load up those pots on the stove, and then we'll describe what's going on here. So like you can see, I've lit 2 pots on fire that would have oil in them like they would be if you're cooking on the stove. We've already heated it up. It's very hot outside today. It gets up there. As the fire starts to go up the cabinets, up the walls, it radiates back into those pots, making them even hotter, spreading the fuel out even further. So what we can see is it's going up. Now, many people have ventilation fans, microwaves over their stoves. You can see how the fire is going up. It's going to start melting it. Now things start to fall down into it. If the pot tips over, all the grease that's burning spills out into the floor. Now, the other thing that we've put in here is we have somebody in a bathrobe right now. Many articles of clothing, especially loose-fitting clothing other than fire gear, are flammable or combustible. When they get exposed to heat, they'll start to melt down, catch on fire, and cause burns to the body. One of the worst things, like I said, people will go in there if they use the wrong type of extinguisher, or if they try to fight that fire, get a garden hose. As this fire burns, it gets larger and larger. So you run outside, get your hose, run back inside the house, inside a building. All this smoke that's being released right now is building up inside the house. It goes up to the ceiling, it spreads out laterally to other rooms, it banks down the walls, and eventually gets down to where you are at, either at a couch or chair level or on the floor. If there was a smoke detector, we don't usually have smoke detectors in kitchens, but there would be by all the bedrooms, at the top of any interior stairs and stuff. Hopefully there would be enough smoke at this point that would have activated the detector, alerted people to get out of the house. Having more than one way out of the house is huge at this point. You want to make sure that you're not trying, or you don't have to run past the kitchen to get out of your house. So you only need that. As it starts to spread out, we can see how the cabinets are getting involved. Now the ceiling, there's nothing combustible on the ceiling. We didn't put a light fixture up there, anything like that. So you can see it actually spreading out. It's going to go to all the consumables. We can see that our bathrobe has melted from the top, has fallen down to the ground. If somebody was wearing that bathrobe, it would very quickly be untenable for them. Somebody whose sleeve catches on fire, the first thing that people try to do is they try to run, they try to go find water or anything else. That's absolutely the wrong thing to do. You learned it in school, the firefighters teach it when we go to our 3rd grade classes. Stop, drop, roll. Right where you are, get down on the ground, cover your face, roll back and forth, smother the fire out. I've unfortunately had fatal fires where people have died in kitchens. One person whose clothes caught on fire was in a sprinklered building. So just because you're in a sprinklered building, the sprinkler head doesn't activate quick enough to extinguish somebody's clothes on fire before you breathe in superheated gases and fall unconscious on the floor. If you were to pass out on the floor in that kitchen, we have the wall completely open, so all these gases are going out so we can film it and show you the hazards. If there was a wall there, the fire would have rolled up all the way over the kitchen and down the other side. What's usually on the other side of a kitchen? Your refrigerator, storage, tables, maybe your dining room where you're eating, a kitchenette, stuff like that. All those things would be catching on. So in this simulation, we're only burning half of a kitchen here. It's not a full kitchen of what you're seeing. You can see how things start to spread sideways here. We'll get the cabinets going. A lot of places have living rooms, open floor plans in there. It'll start to extend to the living room. The one thing we do not have on the kitchen floor that's making conditions a little bit better for us today, we don't have any linoleum down or any kind of finished floor. That's actually non-combustible brick on the ground there because we reuse this box for these types of demos. So you can see that. But had that bathrobe that was graciously donated, thank you Stacy, for the cause here. Once that goes down onto the ground, linoleum starts to burn. It starts to melt, and that fire would spread out. It would actually look like somebody poured gasoline right on the ground, and it would burn outwards as it melts and turns into liquid. So we can see now, as things start to preheat up, we have quite a bit of fire in our kitchen area. It's extended all the way from where it started on our simulated stove over to the other cabinets and working its way around. If there was a doorway on the other side, it would be spreading through there. Normally, if you look at a kitchen, you would have a hallway going down to your bathroom and bedrooms if you're in like a raised ranch, or to a colonial, you would have staircase going upstairs. A fire of this significance would trap people up on the 2nd floor. That's why when the fire department arrives, depending on what unit arrives first, we do a 360 of that entire building. We try to find out if there's any people or pets inside the building, and then we'll go to the most at-risk locations. The most at risk in this situation would be the kitchen, where we're checking the floor because that's where time is of the essence. If once we get beyond that, we're going to search the remainder of that floor, making our way to bedrooms and things like that. If you are somebody whose house is on fire and you call 911, remember to stay on the line, answer the questions from the 911 dispatchers. It may seem like they're asking you a lot of useless things. You just want the fire department to get on the way. But the answer to those questions really give us good information and let our direct our attack when we get on scene, making sure people are safe. So if everybody's out of the house, that's important for us to know. If there's animals in the house, that's important for us to know. If you know where the fire started in the house, let us know, because that's usually where we're going to start our fire attack. But we may have to go on and look. If we have no information, we are still going to search the house regardless of that. And we actually can perform 2 searches. We do what's called a primary and a secondary search. The primary search is a quick look for anybody that's trapped inside by the fire, somebody who might have fallen on the ground and passed out. Otherwise, after they do it, we send a different crew in there. They do a secondary search. We try to have them start in the opposite direction, start on a different floor, a different set of eyes and ears so we don't overlook something. We're creatures of habit. Sometimes you'll, oh yeah, I looked over there. And we want somebody else that didn't look there already to find that. So that's kind of how it goes there. You can see in this scenario how the fire spread out to the living room. There are, the only combustibles in there are the wood cabinets, the things that were on top of the countertop, and our wood furniture that was in the other room there. This is a limited fire, so while this looks pretty impressive from the outside, inside a burning building, it would be quite a bit different. As the fire goes, and we get to what's called flashover, where everything in the room simultaneously heats up, gives off enough gases so that will actually release gases and burn. You can start to see how everything is actually lit up in here now. All of our combustibles are burning, with the exception of the front of the base cabinets, because that's the lowest part of the kitchen. However, if you were a victim and you were on the floor, that would not be survivable at this point in time. Again, that's concrete block on the floor. So the only thing that's burning, and there's quite a bit of fire down there, is the things that have fallen down and the residual fuel that was on the stove already. So the crew that's doing our standby today are the volunteers from the Northeast Fire Company. They have the hose line, they have the truck operating in the back, and they're serving to be our backup right now. They're using one of the smallest hose lines that we use for interior fire attack. That's an 1 3/4 inch hose line. It can flow about 160 to 180 gallons of water per minute. That's what we would actually bring into a building to try to knock down a fire as quickly as possible. You can see that once the water hits the fire, it creates a tremendous amount of steam. Inside a building, firefighters feel this immediately because the steam starts to penetrate all our gear, neck, ears. It's common for firefighters to get steam burns around their neck and ears from stuff like this. So gas grill fire safety. Everybody loves it when Memorial Day comes. It seemed like it was raining for like 40 days and 40 nights before we were able to get a good grill day out there, and everybody's excited to do that. But how many people actually go to their grills and clean it out, make sure there's no spiders or anything inside the grates underneath? That little grease trap, where does all that hamburger grease go when you're cooking on there? Even those veggie burgers, Al, it all falls down there, it gets collected. If you have the aluminum can under there, it pools up in there. That doesn't go away over the winter. Many people leave that there. The grease builds up in there, you have all the soot that's on there. The first time you light the grill up, any of that stuff can create a problem. But the very first problem that happens is the rubber hoses underneath the grill can dry rot. They can disconnect, they can crack, and they can start to leak. Propane is extremely flammable, and when it gets an ignition source, it will burn readily. Whether it goes through the regulator that's actually screwed into the tank, or if it's actual crack in the hose line itself. So when we start going through, we want to make sure we check those things. Clean off the grill. Resist the urge just to put like a sheet of aluminum foil on the grill and let the fire burn. While it works well as a self-cleaning oven, if you have an overall buildup of grease or something on the burners itself, it will start to burn and it will not easily go out. The safest way, if you can approach a gas grill fire, if you see that it's burning inside the grill, don't open the top, just shut off the actual burners themselves, shut off the tank if you can reach under there. On a grill like this, where the tank is underneath the actual grill, I would not bother reaching under there. Now there's a couple things with this grill setup that are set up for failure. Number one, keeping all your plastic furniture right around it. Now everybody's going to keep a table for food prep nearby it. Maybe not their red Solo cup. I think I lost mine. That melted down to the water line in it. But keeping things combustible near it. It's very close to the vinyl siding on the house. You'll see what happens to vinyl siding exposed to heat right now, along with those vinyl shutters that are put up there. You really need to keep it away from any combustibles. It should be at least 10 feet away from any open windows to a house. One of the things we're going to try to do is put a window in that wall and show how the fire will make the glass fail and it'll burn into the house. A lot of people keep grills way too close to the house. Why? We don't like getting wet in the rain, so we keep it under the eaves and you try to stay dry that way. So make sure you keep that stuff there. Make sure the tank is maintained. It's not rusty. It's not leaking from the bottom. If you disconnect your propane tank, it's very common for them to rust out down on the bottom of it, and pinhole leaks will start there. They can catch on fire and start issues that way. So what I'm going to do is, I've already got it set up to light off. I will take Hayden. Come here for 1 second. I'm going to have you crack that tank a little bit once I go up there. I'm going to light the flare before I get up there, and we'll light it. So I'll go up and light it like the grill was actually loaded with grease and gets going there. So as the fire just starts off, it's going to start down kind of slow like this. That's a very slow leak coming out of that tank. But as the tank continues to heat up, it boils the propane gas inside the tank. As the gas gets hotter and hotter, it increases the internal pressure inside the tank. It comes out quicker and quicker from the tank. That's not a lot of heat getting out there right now. So that is just gas coming off the tank, simulating the regulator burned off of the tank and what it's doing. You can start to see the things that are nearby it heating up, off-gassing, and they will catch on fire. So the table underneath is out of wood. We have some plastic around. We obviously see the siding on the house. One thing that's not on the house is the styrofoam insulation board that goes behind that vinyl siding. That also burns tremendously quick. You can see how on the side of this, there's dark colored gas coming out from behind the vinyl siding. That would travel throughout the house. It would actually go into the house and cause a toxic atmosphere inside the building. As this fire continues to burn, it starts to heat up the steel. This is stainless steel, thin gauge. It's starting to melt, and it's getting everything else going. Now the only way for the fire, this has only been going for about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. The only way for the fire department to actually put this out is either the gas burns out or we're able to go up there and shut off the valve. But the valve most likely burned off this container. Yep. We're going to start fire attack right now. We'll see how they're able to knock down the fire on the house, but the gas is going to continue to burn. There you go. Now, one of the things they shouldn't do is they want to cool the tank, but they don't want to put the fire out because the propane is still leaking out of this. Shut. As soon as he shuts the nozzle down, we still have that propane leaking out of there. It's going to relight everything back on fire. The only way to get that fire out again is for the fire to actually burn all the fuel in the tank. Or once the tank is completely shut off, then they can extinguish the fire. Go ahead, hit that fire and hit the kitchen fire. Now we all saw that kitchen fire before and it looked like it was mostly out. But look what happened and how much started burning again while we're up in there. I know there's quite a bit of heat in there because you're seeing the water go into the superheated areas of the room and it's actually turning to steam again. That's going to help us with the extinguishment. Excuse me. Yeah, once we let this cool down a little bit, we'll wet it down a little bit more. We'll bring everybody back in there so you can get some closer looks at what's left over there. what things look like after the fire. What I want you guys to be able to do is go back and look at the video you were taking at the start of the fire, and then take some roll right now and look what everything looks like after the fire. And then start to put together, oh, I see a toaster, I see a microwave. Oh, there was a dish rack there. I don't see anything there. Where did the robe go? You know, things like that. So we're able to get information like that. That's going to conclude the live burns. I'm going to get out of this, but I'll be happy to answer any questions afterwards for anybody.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. And thank you to the guys in more gear than me.